Welcome to the Rooted Family Podcast, how to mindfully root ourselves and our families so that we can grow strong and aligned. Join me, Erin Sadler, as we discuss all things parenting, kids, health, wellness, and developing a roadmap for life that has you and your family thriving, not just surviving. I am a mom of 3. I'm a teacher with a master's degree in education, a health and wellness coach, a brain health coach, and a life coach. I love coaching kids and grown-ups on how to grow in mindful self-awareness to strengthen connections that support healthy brains. I have developed my own program called Grow Strong Roots, which teaches preschool through 5th grade students how to mindfully integrate academics with social emotional skills, self-regulation, and brain-boosting values, including kindness, gratitude, creativity, resilience, courage, respect, responsibility, healthy eating, and healthy movement. I have found my purpose, and it is to help families, children, schools, and communities learn how to turn stress into success and plant seeds of love, peace, and happiness that will grow and blossom. Speaking, coaching, and teaching the Rooted Family Method for growing strong roots and seeing children and families transform when they understand these concepts is my passion. Because when we grow strong roots, we can withstand any storm life may throw at us. Hey everybody, it's Erin from the Rooted Family. So glad to be with you again today. Thanks for joining me. If you're listening to me on the radio, I'm 103.5 The Sun Radio. And if you're catching me on this podcast, thank you. Do not forget to leave a comment after. Let me know what you thought about this podcast. I'm so excited. I have some great things coming up that I want to share with you guys. But I'm going to just sort of dive right in. So I actually had something totally different to talk to you guys about today. But do you ever have one of those times when you feel like something hits you upside the head so many times that you're like, maybe I should pay attention to what the universe is trying to tell me? And I really try to limit it till 3. I feel like the universe, if it tells me 3 times, then I should probably pay attention. It's kind of like if somebody were hitting with a baseball bat. Probably 3 times is enough to know that you're getting hit with a baseball bat. So I try and be tuned in enough to what's going on around me and what's trying to be conveyed to me that I'm trying to just be mindful of just sort of sensing what I need to do next and to be in that flow of what the universe feels I should be doing or where I should be going. So like I said, I had something totally different prepared, but I really, and especially because something just happened this afternoon, I feel like I really should share this with you. Before I get started, I just wanted to let you guys know a little bit about, if you go to therootedfamily.com, you can check us out, and we have a couple new amazing things coming out. One of them is called Book and Breathe. So Book and Breathe is for our 2 to 8-year-old set, and what it is it's mindful breathing, stories, games, and fun all wrapped up into one. And the first one we're doing is called Mindful Monsters, and it is social emotional awareness through these fun monsters. And of course, because I do all my stuff with puppets, I have the puppet there, and it gives you and your child a chance to understand how to have fun doing mindfulness. I know a lot of us want to introduce mindfulness to our kids, but getting a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old to quietly sit down and do mindfulness, especially if they haven't done it before. I will say I have many kiddos that do it, but they've practiced. And so how do you sort of jump in and have that experience with your child, especially when you know how amazing it is for their brain? So this is sort of my fun way of doing it. It's kind of what I do when I go out and teach at schools and in my own preschool. Some of the cool things that I do that kids, it's kind of like sneaking vegetables into food. Like they are having so much fun that they don't even really the mindful breathing. They're like, wait, that was mindful breathing? I'm like, yeah, because it was fun. But it also did its job, which was to helping regulate our emotions and behaviors and identify them. And I, being a teacher, I got to pair it up with some reading. So we just integrate the literacy with it too. So if you are a parent multitasker or a mom multitasker, this might just be the thing for you. because you're getting those reading skills in, taught by a teacher, and you're getting the mindfulness in too. So again, just go to therootedfamily.com and check out Book and Breathe. And, I know we're all busy, and it's just so nice to be able to just have it in your home. So it's an online course that you can just have in your home. But what I wanted to talk to you about today was gratitude, and that's one of our brain boosters from the Rooted family. No, I did not invent gratitude, but my brain boosters are all those things that you have that wire your brain for success. So what I've done in the model I use is to look at the things that will help wire our brains to be happy and healthy, and that is what I focus on. And I know sometimes we get so busy in life, we just, it sort of falls to the wayside, but what it can do for you and for your family and for your kids as far as wiring their brains to be happy, healthy, successful, it's one of those things that we have to make it a priority. So I will say that even myself, these, I said it hit me upon the head 3 times before I got it. I was having one of those times when I was busy in my busy, and I needed to slow down and really look at my own gratitude practice, and have done that recently and really made some changes that were necessary and sort of up to my A game, I guess you could say. So that I'm trying to be more mindfully aware. When the busy gets the better of me, am I recognizing it? And, I think the universe always helps us out with those little nudges. So 3 things happened that I want to talk to you about that sort of pointed me this direction. And I'm going to share these 3 little stories with you that are actually big stories to me because they resonated with me and actually pushed me. So I don't know if this message was universally for me or if I'm supposed to convey this for you. But if this resonates with you, 1, leave me a comment, and 2, yay! I'm glad that it got to you too. So the first one was I was in an exercise class. I take this biking class, and one of my friends showed up and took it with me, and she's an amazing human being. But I don't think mindfulness, I can just say, I think, I'll clear it with her, but I'm pretty sure that's not her jam right now. I think she's on the track, but it's just not something that's in her wheelhouse right now. But what she did do is she picked up an attitude of gratitude. So she picked up a gratitude journal and started doing it, and was telling me about it in our spin class before spin class started. And she was just saying, oh my gosh, I cannot believe what a difference it's made. And she goes, I was listening to you. I know you probably thought I wasn't, but she's like, it has made a huge difference, so much so that she said, I got my husband one, and now I have him doing it, because I can't believe that 5 to 10 minutes a day that I spend doing gratitude and just quietly thinking before her day starts about things she's grateful for would make that big a difference in her life. And, I said, it takes the brain 2 weeks with gratitude, and then it will actually start to rewire itself. So if you've been doing it about that long and you're starting to feel all these positive effects, because with gratitude, there's so many, and we're going to go over them, but there's so many positive effects of having a gratitude practice that it did not surprise me at all. It surprised her, but it did not surprise me that she was starting to feel those, and I mean, they're chemical effects in your body. So those body changes she was starting to feel. So that was number 1. And of course, it happened, and I went on about my day. But I will say that in her brain and in my brain when I practice, and your brain and your kids' brains when you practice gratitude, it actually fires the reward center of your brain. So it's firing that dopamine neurotransmitter, and that is the reward center of your brain. And it fires the dopamine in a healthy, balanced way that supports you. Sometimes you can have overdoses of dopamine where you're getting too many hits, and we can talk about that at a different time. But this is a very body happy, brain happy dose of gratitude that you're getting. So you're functioning and supporting your brain health when you do that, but it also supports your body health as well. Gratitude is just amazing when it comes to our body health. It helps us sleep better. It helps us feel less aches and pains, which is amazing. It improves our physical health. People who practice gratitude exercise more often. They're usually get checkups more often, and scientists have found that it contributes to your longevity. It improves your psychological health as well. It reduces toxic emotions like envy and resentment. It's just really amazing. It also can reduce depression and stress levels in the body. As far as a chemical reaction goes in your body with that release of cortisol, it can actually lessen that as well. I mean, from keeping a gratitude journal, you have all these benefits. Plus, you sleep better. Studies have shown that you do a better, deeper sleep when you practice gratitude, and you feel less aches and pains. And it also helps with trauma. What they found, they've done a couple studies with vets, and they found that vets that have a practice of gratitude, it helps them better work through the trauma that they have faced in the past. So it's pretty amazing. So like I said, it was no surprise to me that her brain was starting to feel the effects of all that gratitude. And not to mention dopamine, the reward one, but you're also releasing serotonin, which is the neurotransmitter that makes you feel happy. And oxytocin is the one that makes you feel loved. That's that mom baby hormone. I always think of it that way. So that sort of like feeling like you have a hug, that's your oxytocin. So it releases all of those in your brain. And for your kids, for yourself, but for your kids when they're wiring their brains right now, it's so important to lay the framework down with gratitude now, because then their brains are already wired for it. They don't have to, like the grown-ups, go back and rewire their brains. Their brains are just automatically. And one thing you should know about your brain, it looks for what you wire it for. So if you wire it for gratitude and kindness, it looks for more gratitude and kindness, which boosts how you look at the world. So that's one of those amazing things about it. Okay, so that's number one. Number two was, it was just announced, but I don't know if you saw, Jennifer Garner was named People's Most Beautiful Person of the Year. And let's just take that in for a minute. She is a 47-year-old mama 3, and holy macaroni, I think we're seeing a shift here. 47-year-old mama 3, and on her cover, it says she feels so grateful. That's the cover right there. So as signs in the universe go, that was sort of facing me in my face. I'm not that far away from 47, and she's a mama 3 and I'm a mama 3. And one of the things that makes her the most beautiful person is her level of gratitude. So, and just the fact that she was chosen because of her beauty with gratitude on the inside and on the outside, because she's a beautiful person in both, and that we're starting to recognize that a little bit more. We're starting to recognize how important that is with your level of gratitude. And, so I just thought that it just kind of hit me. She had an interview on Ellen, and she was just saying how grateful she was, and how as she gets older, she realizes how important it is to be grateful in your everyday. And she also pointed out, which I totally agree with, that you expressing your gratitude as you walk through life on the daily is such an important example to set for your children. If you just do it as a natural part of your day, walk through your day saying, I'm so grateful for her, that was so nice, just noticing it, your children will pick up on that, and then they themselves become grateful. So you're not only wiring your brain for success, but you're also wiring your children's brains for success. So I just, in the past, they've picked people who are very beautiful, but I don't think it went down to like the inside core of being grateful. And so I thought that was such an interesting dynamic that they chose her this year. So year of the 47-year-old mom, here we come. Woo woo. And I think it's just about time we recognize that 47-year-old moms, especially Jennifer, who's a mogul and running her own thing and is grateful at the same time. I mean, it doesn't get much more beautiful than that. So I just think it's a good example. But it was one of those, like, that's the second time I got hit by the universe. And I was like, all right. And I think I started to get an understanding of, what I was going to talk to you guys about and what I need to practice in my own life. But then this third one happened today, and I thought, oh my gosh, I don't know. I sent my friend this text and said, I sat in my car for 15 minutes and cried, because there are those times in your life, and I'm sure you've all had them, where the gratitude is almost overwhelming. I wasn't planning on starting my day like this, and then it happened, and I mean, it still resonates. I mean, I can feel it in my body, that deep core sense of gratitude. And what happened was my friend, whose husband had been battling pancreatic cancer, and had really at the beginning not had a great diagnosis. They just got a scan back that said he was cancer free. And there were so many, I won't go into all of it, so many ups and downs along the way. For those of you who have known somebody who's had cancer or had to take care of somebody who's had cancer, or if you've had cancer yourself, I mean, this is all so familiar to you. But the ups and downs, and then to watch your friend go through this and not be, although be supportive, not be able to do anything to fix it, it's heartbreaking to watch them go through something so painful. And her husband's just the best guy ever. He's just such a nice guy. And so to get the news today that he was cancer free and they got the scans, and I at one point, gave her a hug. We did the dance, the whole 9 yards. But as I was leaving, I could just feel that it was going to overwhelm me. And I just said, so that I know you are already full of emotion today, and so that my emotion doesn't overwhelm your own emotions, I'm going to go cry in my car for a little bit. And I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. I'll text you in a little bit. But I can feel it coming, and you have enough right now that you don't need my emotions on top of your emotions. So that's what I did. I went out to my car and cried a little bit, and cried just from a sense of being so grateful for their family, so grateful that they all still get to be together, so grateful that this chapter, and I know that life is nutty. You don't know what's coming next, but that this chapter for them, it's time to move on. It's time for that door to close, and they'll open another door and move on. And I will say she is a rock, and I'm so grateful to call her my friend. But for her to get that news, whenever you have good friends and they get news like that, your heart is so grateful that they got to be touched that way. So when I heard that one today, I was like, I get it, universe. And I think just because it went straight to my heart and hit me like a lightning bolt, I get it. I get the message that you are trying to send out right now of how grateful we should be for everything we have, and we don't always have good, but to just recognize the very basics of sometimes we make life so complicated, and to just take it down and make it so much simpler and be grateful for the things that we have. So one of the things I want to talk to you about with gratitude is, besides all the wonderful effects of gratitude, let's just talk for a minute about, and then I'm going to show you what I've been doing in the couple days since it hit me for the third time. What I decided to do, I actually started after the second time. It started to resonate with me a little bit, and then I think today was like the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae. So first of all, in case you were wondering how many thoughts you have a day, you have about 68,000 thoughts a day. That's what their estimates are, 68,000 thoughts. And of those 68,000 thoughts, most of them are the exact same thought you thought yesterday and the day before that, and now you're on a loop. And of those thoughts, 70% are negative. Just think about that for a minute. 70% are negative. That is major because that's a lot of negative thought patterns going through you. And what gratitude does is gratitude actually helps to lessen the amount of negative thought patterns that you are creating. So when you're being grateful for something, just think if there's a negative thought that's about to flow through your head and you put a gratitude thought in there or a thankful thought or count your blessings, that negative thought, it's almost like it had to disintegrate or bounce off because that gratitude one got in there first and did the brain wiring that it was supposed to do. So when we talk about mental health and kids' mental health and kids' stress, having an active practice of gratitude, and what I mean by active practice is that it's almost like when I think about a textbook, like if you're teaching math, you can't just leave the math book open on the counter and hope that it absorbs into them. You wouldn't just be like, oh, there's a math book on the counter and then not tell them assignments or when things are due or goals or here's the problems we're going to work on or any of that. You can't just leave a math book open and just expect a kid to learn math. The same thing with gratitude. You can't just say, oh, be grateful. And that's like leaving the math book open on the counter. Oh, be grateful. Kids need help knowing how to do that. So, and I have a bunch of great resources that can help you do that as well. One of which is my 21-day family gratitude games, which are not just it goes beyond gratitude journal into 21 days of things you can do. But I will say, just sitting down with your kid and coming up with a list and doing things on that list and having like a practice at the dinner table or the breakfast table where you guys talk about what you're grateful for just helps wire their brains for that. It actually also activates your hypothalamus, which that's where it regulates your sleep, hunger, your body temperature, and get this, your metabolism. So if you have trouble with sleep, so many studies show that gratitude can help you sleep better. Regulating just your basic bodily functions, you can improve those through an active practice of gratitude, which, oh my gosh, I mean, you don't have to take a pill. Having an active practice of gratitude will help wire your brain in your hypothalamus so that it regulates those bodily functions and improves your metabolism. Yes, please. Thank you. That's not very hard to increase my metabolism, is to walk around my day thinking grateful thoughts. I will take that. Sounds way easier than joining a program. I think I can rev my metabolism that way. We sort of talked about bouncing back. If you think about, I talked about that with the veterans and bouncing back from trauma. But when you think about that with kids, the resilience they need to get through this life and having an active practice of gratitude help them with their self-resilience and their self-confidence. Both of those things are boosted through gratitude. So your ability to bounce back from a situation, especially if you have a kiddo that when they're faced with adversity sort of crumble or have a hard time coming back from being knocked down, helping them establish a practice of gratitude can be so helpful for them. So just think about that when you're going through your gratitude practice, that this is really helping my kids be able to overcome adversity and to build their self-confidence as well. Not to mention their empathy skills. I mean, being grateful is amazing in the brain as far as helping with empathy as well. So those are all my 3 incredible ways I want to share with you guys really quick before we go. So what I've been doing this week. So I have a couple different practices I do sometimes, and I would ask that you guys sort of do this as a self-evaluation tool. So often people have gratitude journals that lose their meaning. So, you write down your gratitudes every day, but eventually it becomes rote. I had that at one point where I would write my gratitudes down before I went to bed, and I realized like I wasn't really into it. I just wanted to go to bed. And so I was not connecting emotionally with what I was doing, and therefore it slowly slid off the scale. Now, I do think there's a couple ways to keep it fresh and new. And especially if you have kids, I find that you can do a gratitude practice. And you should check out some of my journals, but you have to keep it new and fresh and not like just the same page every day. And I think for your brain too, it just becomes complacent and it sort of goes into default mode instead of really strengthening that emotional skill that you need to strengthen. And it will just help you strengthen your social and emotional connection with others. So what I started this week, and then I'll tell you what I typically do. What I started this week, I just started toes to head gratitude. And what that means for me is I start at my toes and I sort of start at the bottom. So what are the basic things I'm grateful for? I'm grateful for the fact that I woke up this morning. I'm grateful for the fact that I'm breathing air and it's going into my lungs. I'm grateful for the fact that my arms and legs work properly. I'm grateful for the fact that my internal organs are functioning properly. And I send gratitude thoughts, just like a loving gratitude breath. So you can just take a big deep breath in. Breathe it out and just connect with that thought. So if I'm sending gratitude for the fact that my lungs are working properly and I'm able to breathe, I would just think, thank you, lungs, for working properly, and take a big deep breath in and breathe it out. And if you have a kiddo that has a hard time thinking of grateful thoughts, this just starting with basic bodies, so from the toes, and then we'll work our way up. That might be just an easy way to do it. So then when I sort of think of it, toes like are your basic functions. And then as you work up, you think of things sort of bigger than you or right outside of you or things that touch your life. So you might start to think about, I'm so grateful that I have a job that I can go to and I get paid for. I'm so grateful that I have a family that loves me. I'm so grateful that all my children are healthy. I'm so grateful that I'm in a caring relationship. So just choosing things that resonate with you. And it doesn't have to get super deep at the beginning. You can just keep it very basic. And then sort of going up to the head, sort of thinking about things that are a little more cerebral, I guess, closer to the head. So thinking about things like that really resonate with you. Like, I am so grateful that every day I have time to connect with nature outside. I'm so grateful that when I wake up in the morning, I hear birds singing outside my window. I'm so grateful that I live in a place safe enough where I can sleep with my windows open. I'm so grateful that my friend, fill in the blank, connected with me on this. I'm so grateful, and I will tell you one right now. I'm so grateful that I have the support of other women, that I get to keep my life and what I'm doing rolling forward because we all lean on each other for help. I'm so grateful for the carpool that gets my kid when I have two other kids to get somewhere from point A to point B. Just start going to all those grateful thoughts. I'm grateful that people give me hugs every day. I'm so grateful. This was mine yesterday. I'm so grateful I'm standing in Costco right now, and a small child ran up to me that I had in one of the schools that I worked at, that I have a contract with this year to come in and do Grow Strong Roots. She saw me in Costco and ran to me and grabbed my leg and said, Miss Erin, I miss you so much. And, her mom is looking like, who is this lady that you are hugging her leg? And I really thought, like, some people think they make it when they have $1 million in the bank account. But really, this is it, that I see this kiddo once a month, and I've been there all year. But I go into their classroom once a month and do a lesson with them, and that my being there has resonated with her enough that she just ran across Costco and grabbed my leg and is death gripping my leg, giving me a hug, saying she misses me and can't wait for me to come back. I mean, that tells me that I'm making an impact in somebody's life, and I feel so blessed about that. I mean, right there, I was like, oh, I'm so grateful for this moment. I'm so grateful that I have impacted anybody's life enough that they would run through a Costco and grab my leg. Now, don't take that as an invitation, especially if you're over the elementary school age, that you can just run up and grab my leg in Costco, because it probably will not end well for you. But kindergartners are always welcome to grab legs and give me hugs in Costco. So that's one. So I just start from my toes and I go up to my head and sort of get a little out. By the time you get to your head, you're thinking a little bit more universally out in the world. So grateful to live in a country where I get to make my own choices and do things that I like to do. I'm so grateful that I have children that feel empowered to make their own choices. So that's one. The second one that I have done for years, and I did not make this up. I took this from somebody else, and it could have even been Oprah. So if you talk to her, tell her, hey. But what I do is I try and actively walk through my day and find 3 things that I am grateful for. And as I walk through my day, I actually name them in my head. So I might say like number 1, and as it's happening, and then I stop right where I am and take a big, deep breath in, and just be present with that feeling of gratitude for a moment and really connect with it. And it honestly can be like 10 seconds. It can be less than that, really. But just taking a moment to acknowledge it right there and then. And that's what I started doing after the gratitude journal got real old for me, is I was like, I need to actually do it as I'm going through my day. Like, recalling at the end of the day is not having the same emotional impact as doing it during the day. So I did that. I would do that as I walk through the day. And I have to tell you the funniest story. So one day I was walking through my place of business. I was walking out of preschool. And as a teacher, if you've ever seen a teacher or been a teacher, you know that we carry lots of bags and lots of papers all the time. And I was balancing everything. And if anybody else knows me, I'm not the most graceful person on the planet. And I dropped a bazillion papers all over the floor, and they scattered like Skittles. And this lady immediately, and she was much older than I was, bent down and started picking up all these papers for me. And I kept apologizing and saying, like, you don't have to do that. And she's like, no, I want to help you. And really, it would have taken me like a century to pick them all up. So I was so appreciative. And when she picked them up and handed them back to me, what I meant to say was, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for your help. What I actually said was, you're my number 2 today. And she just stared at me. Number 1, because being called a number 2 in general is not a great thing. Like, especially I'm a preschool teacher, so that just takes you to the potty humor. But she just like stared at me like, hello, crazy lady. And so I had to explain the whole thing, that I go through my day. I look for number 1, number 2, number 3. And I tried to like acknowledge it right in the moment. And as I'm saying this, she is starting to tear up. And I'm like, oh gosh, now I've offended her. Oh, I feel terrible. And she teared up and she looked at me and she's like, you do not know how much I needed to hear that today. She got in a terrible fight with her daughter, and she was feeling useless, and she was feeling like she wasn't enough. And for me to take the moment to tell her how grateful I was, and that she was one of the main people in my day that made me feel gratitude, she was like, I will start doing this immediately. We were meant to cross paths, basically. And she left feeling amazing. I left feeling amazing. Our neurotransmitters were like having a party in our brain. It was almost like a high when you left, from all your neurotransmitters feeling so good and all of hers feeling so good. So those are the 2 gratitude practices that I do on a pretty regular basis and need to connect with even deeper, according to the universe talking to me. If I'm reading the universe right, that's what's thrown down. But for you guys, what could you do this week to deepen your own gratitude practice? Could you employ the 1, 2, 3? Could you do the toes to head? And then not only how are you going to do it, and you might want to take week 1 and just you get deeper. And then maybe week 2, how can you help your children get deeper with their gratitude practice? And how can we get past the, oh, I don't know what I'm grateful for? How can you deepen that? Maybe you can do the toes to head. Maybe you can do the 1, 2, 3, and then have them look for it. I've done that with my kid. My kids are pretty good at it. Coming home and saying, what were your number 1, 2, and 3 for grateful moments? And you will be blown away by what your children come up with when they get in a good practice of it. They are amazing at looking for gratitude throughout the day when they become well-oiled machines of practice. So consistency is key, parents. Write that down. Consistency is key. Gratitude is key. But what can you do? And I want you to leave a comment, because your comment may help somebody else get an idea or spark inspiration for what they can do in their own home. Now, if you need further inspiration, or if you're like, that all sounds great, but I know I will fall off the wagon, you can go to therootedfamily.com, so www.therootedfamily.com, and click on that 21-day family gratitude challenge. And again, that reaches beyond. It's 21 days of like activities, games, discussions, really short, really sweet. Most of them require no supplies at all. I mean, I'm a mom of 3. I get, if I tell you need to pre-craft that, you're going to roll your eyes at me and walk away. So I took all that out. I just made fun gratitude practices that have been tested, road tested in classrooms, not by me, by other teachers. I gave it to them and said, go try this and let me know what you think. So they've been road tested by others. I've also had families work on it and have had great results with families as well. So there is a classroom edition and there is a family edition, and it's 21 days. And by 21 days, you will have already started rewiring all your brains. But if that's something if you got that, just start with those 2 activities I gave you today. By all means, just fly with those. But if you're at the point where you're like, we need something other than those 2, I just want you to know that resource is out there for you, that I have that for you. So you can just go to therootedfamily.com and click on the 21-day gratitude challenge. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging with me today. And I will get you the other information. We're going to talk about some other things. We'll get to that too, but I just want to let you know how grateful I am that you're listening and that you leave me a comment so we can have a dialogue and discuss. And if you're not signed up for my newsletter, do that too. If you jump on the website, it pops up and you can just sign up for the newsletter. And then you can get all the Brain Explains I do and all the freebies I give out, because I give out freebie journal pages and activities, and I send those out too. So I just want to make sure you're not missing anything that could help your family or your kids' family. All right. Peace, love, roots. Go reach, rise, and grow as a family. And I